My boyfriend's older brother hated my guts. Right from our first meeting, he put me in my place. Which backwater town did he fish this ugly duckling out of? I swallowed my pride for my boyfriend's sake, only to accidentally wake up 10 years in the future. A timid 5-year-old boy looked up at me. "Can you come to my preschool's family day tomorrow?" Staring at the kid whose features were a carbon copy of my boyfriend's, my heart melted. I nodded eagerly. He excitedly dragged me off to find my boyfriend. Instead, I crashed right into his older brother. Before I could even stammer out an apology, the kid's cheerful voice rang out. "Dad, Mom finally said yes." Me? Carter steadied me, then slowly withdrew his hands. His gaze flicked to the boy. "Noah, it's past your bedtime." Noah reluctantly let go of my hand, conflict warring in his eyes. But under Carter's signature oppressive stare, the kid dutifully trudged back to his bedroom. I watched the whole thing unfold, my brain completely short-circuiting. Calling Carter Dad? And I'm his mom? Before I went to sleep, I was a bright-eyed 20-year-old college student. How did I wake up as a married mother of a 5-year-old? And married to Carter, of all people? No, he's my boyfriend's brother. How the hell did I end up in some taboo romance with my future brother-in-law a decade later? Where did my perfectly good boyfriend go? Carter watched Noah's door click shut. Then his gaze pinned me to the spot. After a few excruciating seconds, he asked, "Aren't you going to sleep? It's late." My brain abandoned all rational thought. I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. "Right, sleep. Going to sleep now." I looked up, a wave of disorientation hitting me. The Carter standing in front of me was vastly different from the one I knew 10 years ago. He couldn't be more than 45, right? So why did he have so much white hair?
That wasn't an exaggeration. Carter had genuinely left me with some serious psychological scarring. Our first meeting was at my boyfriend Julian's birthday party. As Julian's girlfriend, I played the part perfectly, charming, socially adept, totally presentable. But the second Carter laid eyes on me, his brow furrowed in disgust. Which backwater town did he fish this ugly duckling out of? Excuse me? Ugly? I was objectively gorgeous, with a figure to match. Exactly how blind was this man to drop a line like that with a straight face? If it had been anyone else, I would have ripped them a new one. But Carter was Julian's older brother, the heir to the family trust, a notoriously cold-blooded corporate bastard. I ground my teeth together and forced a smile. "Hi, Carter, I'm Julian's girlfriend." Carter's expression didn't so much as twitch. He didn't even look at me again. He let out a low scoff and turned to Julian. "Julian, when did your standards for company drop so low?" Julian shifted awkwardly, trying to smooth things over. "Come on, Carter. Sierra's great. Once you get to know her—" "Pass," Carter cut him off smoothly, his eyes already wandering away. "Gifts on the table. Enjoy the party." And just like that, he walked away. He didn't even wish his own brother a happy birthday. It was as if his little power trip at the party was just the appetizer. When Carter decided to be toxic, he could make you question your right to breathe oxygen. Because of that, every time I bumped into him at family gatherings, I broke out in cold sweat, terrified he'd notice me and drop another soul-crushing insult. I spent months worrying about how this guy would use the family's influence to block our marriage when Julian and I eventually got engaged. And yet, somehow, I skipped 10 years and married this absolute nightmare of a man. I tossed and turned in bed, replaying the sheer absurdity of it all, until exhaustion dragged me under. Somewhere in the haze between sleep and waking, I felt a presence beside me. Someone was sitting on the edge of the mattress, watching me for a long, long time. Then a hand gently brushed through my hair. So light, so careful. Who was it? The intense feeling of being watched finally pulled me awake. I opened my eyes. Morning sunlight spilled across the room. Noah was standing there with a tiny backpack strapped to his shoulders, blinking at me with massive, expectant eyes. "Mom, we gotta go." "Go? Where?" I blinked stupidly for a second before last night's conversation clicked. Right, family day. I scrambled out of bed and rushed through my morning routine. Noah stuck to me like glue. Everywhere I went, he followed, his eyes refusing to leave me for even a second. It was like he was terrified I'd vanish into thin air if he blinked. My chest tightened. I leaned down and kissed his cheek. Noah froze. He looked like a stunned little penguin. A bright flush crawled up his chubby cheeks. He practically jumped in place. "You kissed me." I frowned, my heart doing a weird flip. What kind of reaction was that? Did future me really not hug and kiss her own child? That was insanely cold. Before I could spiral further, Carter walked in. He was already dressed to leave. I stared at him for a solid 3 seconds. Damn, I was so used to seeing him in bespoke three-piece suits. Seeing him in high-end athleisure actually made him look young. Then my eyes caught the silver streaking his hair, and I immediately took it back. Nope, still old. Carter's gaze swept over the two of us, taking in the rare moment of maternal affection. "Events start at 9:30, he said flatly. I let go of Noah and hurriedly finished getting ready. Sure, a 20-year-old college student had zero experience being a mother, but looking good was a universal language. The least I could do was make my kid look good by association. I picked out an outfit based on my 20-year-old aesthetic. When I stepped out of the walk-in closet, Noah let out an excited squeal and circled my legs, turning into a pint-sized hype machine. Carter, on the other hand, froze completely. His eyes slowly dragged over me from head to toe. Beneath the sheer shock in his gaze, there was something else, something that looked a lot like nostalgia. On the drive to the preschool, I kept my eyes glued to the window while Noah chattered happily in the back seat. Is this what LA looks like in 10 years? It didn't seem all that different. Technology hadn't exactly catapulted us into a sci-fi utopia. The passing streets looked eerily familiar. Before I could overanalyze it, we pulled up to the private preschool. Noah excitedly dragged me inside. Every time we passed one of his little friends, he'd latch onto my leg and announce, "This is my mom. I told you my mom was pretty." I let out a soft laugh. But then the smile felt tight. Something was wrong. Was this the first time I'd ever come to his school? Why else would he be acting like he had to prove my existence? I instinctively glanced to my left, catching Carter's eye. The second I opened my mouth to ask, he looked away. Classic. 10 years ago or 10 years later, Carter was still an infuriating prick. The outdoor field was set up for dozens of activities. When I saw the obstacle courses, my smile completely died. Shit, how am I supposed to do this in a skirt? I was so focused on serving a look, I forgot about basic functionality. "Sit in the bleachers," Carter said mildly. "I'll handle this." Noah nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, don't worry, Mom, I'm definitely winning a medal." I forced a smile and retreated to the spectator area. By 10:30, the California sun was beating down hard. I squinted, tracking the father-son duo across the turf. Maybe the harsh sunlight softened his edges, but Carter didn't look so cold right now. That suffocating aura of his was gone. Seeing him and Noah running around together was actually a really good picture. Genetics were a crazy thing. They really did look alike. But for some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that Noah looked more like Julian. The thought of Julian hit me like a truck. Where was he? Why had Julian completely vanished from this timeline? And another thing, why hadn't I been able to find my phone since last night? Had iPhones evolved into neural implants or something? The creeping sense of dread started expanding in my chest again. "You must be Noah's mother," a gentle voice interrupted my thoughts. It was the preschool director. She sat down in the empty seat next to me and struck up a casual conversation. Turns out the family trust was the primary donor for the school. I channeled my own mother's polite PTA persona and chatted back. But the longer we talked, the more my stomach twisted. What does she mean, your schedule is demanding? What does she mean, it would be wonderful to see you more actively involved in the Parent-Teacher Association? And what the hell does she mean, a mother's presence is irreplaceable at this developmental stage? I was reeling. What exactly was future me doing with her life? From the way this woman was talking, I sounded like an absent, negligent nightmare of a parent. I sent the director off in a daze, my eyes drifting back to the field where Carter and Noah were racing. None of this made sense. From the moment I woke up in this timeline, everything felt incredibly sinister. Why did Noah sound so hesitant, almost scared when he called me Mom last night? Why did I have no phone, no social life, no job? Hell, this massive house didn't even have a single family portrait on the walls. The isolated red flags were starting to connect, weaving a massive, suffocating web. The cheers and laughter of the other families echoed across the lawn, but I felt entirely detached from reality. Mom, did you see? Was I awesome? Noah's voice snapped me back. I nodded numbly. I spent the rest of the event completely zoned out. Carter must have noticed because he cut the day short and drove us straight home. Noah didn't throw a tantrum. He didn't even look disappointed about leaving early. Instead, he kept throwing me anxious, cautious glances from the back seat. Carter followed me up to the master bedroom. I stopped in the doorway, blocking his path. I want to rest, alone. He fell silent. His dark eyes scanned my pale, distracted face for a long moment. Okay, he said. Should you wish to read more of the story, please click the link below or download the app. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment below.